It's a great honor to be here this evening. In another century, I was one of you, really proud parents, proud teachers, proud principal. Matter of fact, in my 7th grade year, as the semester was starting, the principal called my parents and myself into his office, and he said he wanted to congratulate the three of us because I had scored very, very high on the IQ test, over 180. He said, so your son qualifies as a genius. Who would think? These people would have some questions about that. And we're going to be giving him a lot of extra homework. So what you probably think I'm going to be talking to you tonight about is being smart. Actually, I'm going to talk to you about the opposite, being stupid. And I have two examples of being stupid. So the first one, when I got out of college, and I would have been what we now call an avid student. I'm a first generation American, first one in my family to graduate college. And there was no thought at that point about going to graduate school, none at all. Later on, I would get a Juris Doctorate and an MBA, but not then. So I had three really interesting offers coming out of college. One was a company called Burroughs, now known as Unisys. And back then, Burroughs was competing with IBM for mainstream computers, mainframe, the real big ones. And so I got the job, and after a week at work, they sent us to school in Rochester, New York. Now, I was living in New York City at the time. First day of class, there were 15 of us in the class, and they had signs in front of us. They had my name, Larry Glick, and the office we came from. Mine was an office on Long Island called Hempstead. There were offices from Chicago, Los Angeles, Detroit, I think San Antonio was there, Atlanta. There was also one from Panama City. And I'm thinking, now, later on you're going to hear about my traveling around the world. Back then, I thought about traveling, and I'm saying, wow, Panama City, the Panama Canal, how exciting. And at the end of the day, they assigned us projects. One was a project by yourself, one was one other person, and one was a group of 3 others. It just so happens the project I got for 2 of us was with a gentleman from Panama City. And we would talk at various times, and I would say, wow, you must have had a really long trip here. And he said, wow, I had to change planes in Atlanta, and that was a long day. Another time we were talking about our majors in college, and he said, I was a language major, majoring mainly in Spanish. And I said, of course, we work in Panama City. Another time, he said to me, I have a beautiful apartment. I look out, I see all the boats going by. Of course you do. And then another time, we talked, I said, how many tourists? He said, there are tourists here all the time. So the last day of the 2 weeks, the CEO of the whole corporation came, because we were the class. We were the best and brightest. He wanted to talk to us. He asked us 2 things. He said, tell us where you think the corporation is going to be the next 5, 10, or 15 years, and tell us something you've learned while you're here. So it came my turn. I talked about the future of the corporation, and then I said, I've met a really good friend. I can't wait to visit him in Panama City and go through the Panama Canal. At that point, there was total silence in the whole room. Remember, it's stupid. And everybody's looking at me, I'm thinking, and the CEO walks over to me. It's a big, big shot, okay? And he says, sir, young man, I think he said, young man, we don't have any offices in Panama City, Panama. That office is in Panama City, Florida. Now, if I could have, I would have done story number 2. So, like I said, I love to travel around the world. And about 5 or 6 years ago, there was a story about the greatest travel adventure for wildlife in the world was to go see the mountain gorillas, okay? And there were 3 places, but they're all contiguous countries. One is Rwanda, but they had just gone through a series of multiple genocides that took place with tribal fighting, so that wasn't a good place to visit. The other place could have been the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now, There's a famous quote from a philosopher called Voltaire that you'll learn. Some of you probably know Voltaire. Some of you will learn Voltaire. He was talking about the Holy Roman Empire. And he says it wasn't holy, it wasn't Roman, and it wasn't an empire. Well, now you have the philosopher Larry Glick saying the Democratic Republic of the Congo was not democratic and it's not a republic. Okay, so I'm not going there. So it leaves me with one country to go to, and that's Uganda. So as I started reading about the trip to the mountain gorillas in Uganda, they said for most human beings who make the trek up the mountain, it's the most physically enduring thing you will ever do in your life. But I'm thinking, wait a minute. I ran under a 4:10 high school mile. I've been over 22,000 feet without oxygen on Mount Everest. I can handle this. So get to Uganda. The first stop is the Kabale Forest. We got to see chimps on the ground, incredible. We got to Queen Elizabeth Park, see the tree climbing lions, and finally we get to the mountains where the mountain gorillas are. And you can only have a group of 6 going up. We were a group of 11 tourists and 1 tour guide. And so we flipped a coin. Our group of 6 got to see the R group, called Rashangura group. They are normally lower on the mountain. The other group of 6 got to go to the Hashimbaya group, and that's the ones that are at the top of the mountain. That's the ones that people talked about the most physically taxing thing you will ever do in your life. So we both groups started at 8 o'clock in the morning. We got done, around 12:15. The other group, we went looking for